Becky and I'm a third year Games Development student from NUA. I'm currently halfway through my final 16-week project before I graduate, and me and another developer are making a game slice based on an open world action-adventure game. I'm going to be showing you a little bit about what I went through in the first 8 weeks, how we managed our time, and what kind of stuff we managed to get through. At the start of any project, you have to plan out not only what you're going to be doing, but also when you plan on doing it. I always tend to start with research around the topic, and usually create mood boards to show off what games are already in the market that are similar to our theme or could inspire ideas later on. I also make some notes about what we might need in the game, whether it be what functionality we'll need to code in, or just observations about what you typically find in a certain genre of games. Then setting up things like Trello boards will help organise your time, and a great feature is that you can designate tasks to different team members, as well as seeing whether or not you're on track. For games developers, one of the main starting points of any projects is a games design document, which basically outlines everything you need to cover over the course of the project. Characters, functionality, assets, user interfaces, audio, anything that might be useful at any point in the project is put in here. This helps keep the game on track, as well as letting everyone in the team know what they should be working on. Once all the preparation has been done, it's time to get started on actually making the project. This is my current setup, as due to COVID we've all been working from home, and since my iMac didn't have the capabilities to run Unreal Engine, I had to use a portion of my student loan to buy a computer that would allow me to do all of my project work from home. This means that I can use my Windows PC for everything related to development, but still have my Mac that I can use for everything else, like research, write-ups or team calls. We've been using Teams as an alternative to face-to-face meetings this year, and they cover everything from class sessions with our tutor, to seminars and talk sessions, as well as guest lectures or talks from people from the industry. The rest of the time is spent developing, and during the first few days of a project is when the majority of the setup code is put into the game, and this is then built up and worked on over time. By the third week, I had some of the main functionality working, which meant that I could begin looking at building up some of the areas of the game for the characters to interact with. Myself and Chloe, the other developer that I'm working with, each took different levels that we wanted to produce and started blocking them out with assets. This is me creating our cave level, which we are going to use for one of our main quests in this project. Although this is more of a design aspect of our game, we both enjoyed mapping out these areas, as it allowed us to work in different parts of Unreal, such as lighting or visual effects. At the halfway point of our first 8-week project, I was moving on to the larger areas of development that would be used to tie all of our work together. I started by testing level streaming, which would be used to load areas in and out of the game behind the scenes. This meant that we didn't have to load the entire map each time, but instead only create the areas that are relevant to the player at that time. I also began working on the quest system, which incorporated both gameplay and narrative to help guide the player through the world. This system was created using user interface menus, as during previous projects I'd developed an interest in UI design. Another system that I used UI was my shop area, where the player could go to buy objects or sell items that they had found in the environment. Each of these areas of development are split into 3 main categories: design, functionality, and how it works within the game. As well as working on our main project, during our 5th week, Chloe and I took part in the 2021 Global Game Jam. We had 48 hours to create a game that fit the theme of Lost and Found. By taking a break from the project, it gave us a chance to use any skills we'd picked up over the last 5 weeks and put them into something that could hopefully be used for both the game jam and also our portfolios. It was obviously a very short development time, but we managed to produce an entry that we were pleased with. It also helped to take a step back from the main project, because having worked on it for a long time, it was difficult to stay motivated. But having spent 2 days working on something completely different, we felt more driven to get back into the development and get the most out of these 8 weeks. By this point in the project, a lot of the main body of work was done. I personally used this time to go over some of the functionality that I had created at the very start of the project and improve it. This included updating UI menus and making sure that the characters felt realistic. This time was also useful to make sure all of the work that Chloe and I had done was integrated successfully. We usually called at the end of each day to fix any bugs that had been discovered and to merge our work. It was important to do this as we went along, so that if any of our work overlapped, it was much easier to solve than if we had only checked it once a week. Week 7 was all about bug fixing, testing the game over and over to make sure that everything was working exactly how it should. This involved a lot of trial and error, as well as plenty of engine crashes. However, all of this helped me to identify what I needed to focus on before our review. It was also a good chance to start thinking about any additional features that I might want to add in during the next stage of development. The final week of our first project was mainly reserved for final alterations, fixes, and any small details that, although the game doesn't necessarily need it, we thought would improve the overall experience. Looking back at how much we managed to achieve in the 8 weeks, I'm really happy with the results, and I'm looking forward to doing it all over again for the second half of this project, where we'll be continuing to develop this game so that it can be the best version it can be. So thank you for following along with this project, and I hope that this was a bit of an insight into the kind of work that we do in games development.